Little guy coming through right there, see?
Oh, yeah. Right where Mom was at.
Yeah, that's probably where Mom and Dad are, up underneath that bridge. See how close these guys let me get.
Not that close.
About that close. There they go, swimming off. 1, 2, 3, 4. I see 4 right now. Mom and Daddy probably laying underneath that water. Is he still there? Yeah, that little guy's still there. Oh, there he went.
Look at that. That's cool.
Yeah, that tail's pretty awesome. Huh. Good morning, everyone. Matt, Nomadic Native, back with you. Thanks for tuning in. So last year during the winter we stayed at an RV park in Tucson, and I made videos about staying in an RV park in Tucson. This year we are boondocking out here in nature in southern Florida, about 47 miles south of Disney and Orlando. And I'm going to be doing some videos on how we're boondocking. This is a really big topic. I'm going to have to break it down into much smaller chunks. And this first chunk is on power. Power while we're boondocking. How do we power the coach, and how does the coach integrate with the power systems that are available to keep us out here happy and off-grid, and without having to do without power, okay? So it's a really big topic. I don't want the video to run as long as I think it's going to. This is the third time I've tried to make it. I keep getting tongue-tied and saying things wrong, and I want to be accurate in the details that I give you. So I think this is my third, maybe fourth attempt at this video, okay? So without further ado, it's a big topic. Let's get started. Okay, the first way we have to power our coach is the same way everybody has to power their coach. It's a 50 amp coach, and if we're in an RV park where we have a plug-in, we just plug this in and our coach has all the power it needs. Second way we have of powering our coach is up here at the front. That's a 6,000 watt quiet diesel generator. If we don't have plug-in power, we can turn on the generator and it will provide the 50 amps that we need to power our coach. The third way we have of powering our coach is using the battery bank, which is 6 Trojan T105s for 675 amp hours of storage, and I limit us to 300 amp hours of use before we recharge, so that we never hit the 50% minimum that the bank needs to have in it at all times to prevent damage to the batteries. And when we're powering off the batteries, we're running the coach off of the inverter, the Magnum inverter that came with the coach. It's sucking power out of the batteries and powering the coach through this inverter. Okay, this is at the foot of our bed, and these are the circuit breakers and power panel. This one is for all the 12 volt systems in the coach, things like the lights, exhaust fans, LP detector, and so on. These things pull power directly out of the battery bank at 12 volts. This power panel, it has from 15 to 50 amp circuit breakers in it, and it powers everything in the coach. This is the power panel for the inverter. If we're running off the battery bank and the inverter, these are the things that can have power. We have general receptacles at 15 amps, the refrigerator, the microwave, and we have a sub main that brings it in at 30 amps because our inverter is a 30 amp inverter. So these are the things that are powered by the inverter. Everything is powered through being plugged in or on the generator. And these are all the 15 volt house breakers. Things that cannot be ran on the inverter would include the ACs, because they're not connected here. They're only connected here. The ACs, those are on 20 amp breakers. The fireplace cannot be ran on the inverter. The dryer cannot be ran on the inverter. The water heater nor the engine block heater can be ran on the inverter. So the only thing running on the inverter are some outlets, the refrigerator, the microwave. Now, as I just showed you, our washing machine, which is here, is not connected to the inverter's circuit breaker panel or power panel. So the washer cannot be ran off of the inverter if it's plugged in where it's normally plugged in. But we run the washer off of the inverter and the battery bank. How do we do that? Well, it's normally plugged in behind this photo through an access panel right there. I just unplug it from in there, bring it through the hole and plug it in right there, because that outlet is powered by the inverter. So we can run the washer off of the battery bank and the inverter. And what I can tell you about that is that the washer runs just fine off of the battery bank and inverter. It really doesn't pull that much power. The dryer, however, anytime you're making heat, it uses a lot of power. So we do not run the dryer off of the inverter. If we're washing clothes while we're boondocking, we will either hang the clothes, well, after they come out of the washer, we run them through our Soft spin dryer. You can see a video on that if you go back in our list of videos. I did a review on it. We run them through the Soft spin dryer, and then we hang them up outside and they dry really fast. And that's how we do our laundry. Okay, here in the coach, these are the 3 power modules or systems that keep us out here boondocking for an extended period of time. Now, this system is Powerline. It's the energy management system for the coach. If we're plugged in at an RV park, or if we're running on the generator, this is the system that controls the power, and it has load shedding. So, for example, if we're pulling too much power from shore power or the generator, this system will start shedding loads so that we don't trip circuit breakers and everything keeps running. For example, if we're running both ACs and a lot of other stuff in here, and we turn on something that that takes us over the 50 amp limit for the coach, the Powerline system will normally shut down the rear AC and use that power to keep everything going, and as soon as it has enough power to run the rear AC again, it'll turn the rear AC back on. So anytime we're running on shore power plugged in at an RV park or running the generator, It's the power line energy management system that manages the power and keeps us going. Now, if we're boondocking and running off of the battery bank and the inverter, this is the Magnum inverter control head, and it's taking power out of the battery bank and powering the coach through the Magnum inverter. This module is Auto Gen Start. It has three modes that it works in: manual, auto on, and quiet on. In manual mode, it is just like what it sounds. It's manual. You stop and start and stop the generator manually. In auto mode, it does several things. This is the mode that we leave the RV in if we're plugged in at an RV park and we have to be away and leave the dogs and the cat here in the RV. We leave it in auto on, because if the RV park loses power, this Gen Start system will start the generator and keep the coach running, including the ACs, to keep the pets happy until we get back, or until RV park power is restored. Then it'll shut the generator off and the transfer switch will kick back over to RV park power, and everything continues to run. It's seamless. The second thing that it will do is, if the battery bank gets too low, it will automatically start the generator, charge the battery bank, and then shut itself back off. If we're in auto on, we're out here boondocking right now and we're in auto on, there's another way the system will start the generator, and that is if it receives a demand from the air conditioning thermostats to run the AC. We can't run the AC off of the inverter, and if that demand is put in by the thermostats to the system, it will automatically start the generator to run the ACs. The third way that we can use this is with quiet on. The system allows you to set quiet hours. Our quiet hours are set from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. because these are the quiet hours at Corps of Engineer parks where we sometimes like to boondock. And you can't run your generator from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. So we have quiet on set from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. And when we have it set like this, the generator will automatically start at 8 p.m. and run for 2 hours until 10 p.m. to kick a charge into the battery bank to last us all night, so the generator does not have to start again prior to 8 a.m. Of course, if we wake up in the morning and we have sun, the generator doesn't need to start anyway. It is, what time is it? It's 7:04 in the a.m. right now. You can see that we're still at 12.2 volts, and there's no need for the generator to start. The generator starts at 12 volts. Okay, so that is how the power system works in our RV. And I want to talk about solar power, or solar panels, and installing solar on the RV, because you know, there's a lot of misconceptions about that. Solar power, or solar panels like we have on our RV, that's just another way to charge the battery bank. That's all it is. It should be obvious from what I've shown you already that if you're, for example, if your goal is to be able to boondock in places where they have quiet hours from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. and you don't want your generator to run during those hours, it's not about having solar power to make that happen. What it's about is the battery bank. The larger your battery bank, the longer it's going to last. So if you can make your battery bank large enough so that your generator doesn't have to run from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m., then you have accomplished the goal of meeting quiet hours. So it's the battery bank that's important in that scenario. Now, solar power, as I showed you before, if the auto gen start system was in quiet on, it will start the generator at 8 p.m. and run till 10 p.m. so that we can go all night and the generator doesn't have to start again before 8 a.m. in the morning. But if we wake up with full sun, like we have this morning, and the sun gets up there on the panels, then we don't have to run the generator in the morning to charge the battery bank. The solar takes over and it charges it throughout the day. Something else that you may hear online or in other discussions about solar power is people will say that we are running off of solar. That's not exactly true. What they mean is they're running off of their battery bank and their inverter, and their solar is charging the battery bank. So during the day when we have sun on the panels, the coach is pulling power out of the batteries through the inverter, and the solar is putting that power back in. If you have enough solar, then you will match the amount of power that's being pulled out of the battery bank by the inverter, plus some. So now you're basically running the coach on solar and charging the battery bank at the same time, all off these solar panels up there. What we have for solar panels is 960 watts up there on the roof. That all runs to one MPPT charge controller, and then we have 325 watts on the ground run to a second charge controller. So we have about 1,300 watts of solar, give or take a few. I'm not going to do the math. But this solar power system is solely there to charge the battery bank. The coach does not run off of the solar panels, it runs off the battery bank through the inverter. Okay, so in this video I've tried to detail for you the power system and the solar power system and all of that that's in our coach that keeps us running out here off-grid for an extended period of time in beautiful southern Florida. We're about 47 miles south of Disney and Orlando, and we're going to be here for an extended period of time. We're not doing this for 3, 4, 5 days, guys. We're doing this for 3, 4, 5 months. We've been here for over 2 weeks so far, boondocking, and everything's going great. I've tried to detail it for you, the power system, in my haphazard and sometimes tongue-tied way. And I know that I've probably not done an adequate job for everybody, but I hope that I've put out some information that you can use if you have a desire to boondock in your RV off-grid out here in nature like we love to do. So that's about it for this video. If you haven't subscribed, we invite you to subscribe and follow along. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below. Thanks again for watching the video, guys. We'll see you soon.